Sometimes the biggest legacies aren't built from fortune, but from love, sacrifice, and the lives we quietly touch. This is the story of Grandma Clara and the family she helped shape forever. I remember it so clearly. The night she walked away. The house felt strange, still but not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that presses on your chest, heavy. Almost angry I didn't move, just stood there, watching her figure slowly disappear into the dark. She didn't slam the door, she didn't yell, she just left, quietly, and in that moment, I thought we'd won, that we were finally free. No more fake smiles over dinner. No more exhausting questions like, "So how was your day?" No more half-hearted hugs that no one really wanted. Freedom. At least that's what we called it back then. But freedom, sometimes it's lonelier than being alone. Things had been bad for a while. We argued over the tiniest things. The way she organized the kitchen. The way she corrected everything I said. The way she tried. God, she tried so hard to belong to a family that never truly let her in. I hated her. I hated how she smiled even when we shut her out. Hated her patience. Hated that she stayed even when we made her feel like a stranger. Hated how she believed she could replace someone who to me could never be replaced. I didn't realize it then. How hate can be just as heavy as sadness. You think carrying it makes you stronger, but all it does is drown you. She never yelled, never fought back, not once. She just looked at us with eyes so tired, so quiet, like she was carrying a truth we refused to see. And now here I am. In this hollow house, staring at the door she softly closed behind her. And I finally see it. We didn't win. We lost her. Maybe she was the only one still holding us together. And the cruelest part, we'll only understand it when it's already too late. Looking back now, the signs were all there. In those final days before she left, they were everywhere. We just chose not to see them. Dinner had become a silent battlefield. No one spoke. The clinking of forks and knives was louder than her quiet sighs. She still tried. She placed every dish with care. She asked how our day was. She smiled. But every word that came out of her mouth felt like a needle pricking at my pride. I hated seeing her try. I hated that she didn't give up. And my father, he said nothing. His silence should have been a warning, but back then I took it as a sign he was on my side. But the truth is, he was just lost. He didn't know how to love, how to protect anyone in a home that was quietly falling apart. And my little sister, Emma. She shut herself off, always wearing headphones, buried in her phone, like she wanted to disappear. I thought she hated her too. I thought we were on the same side. But I learned later Emma wasn't angry. She was just scared, hiding from a storm she didn't have the strength to face. She, the woman we pushed away, she never raised her voice, never demanded, never blamed. She just grew quieter. Each day her eyes grew a little more tired. She was like an old tree planted in dry, cracked soil, still standing, still holding on, even as life slowly drained from her. But we didn't see that. We didn't care to. We thought she'd always be there. Until one day we were the ones who made her leave. I can't even remember when we first started pushing her away. Maybe it was something small. A glance. A cold reply. One time we ignored her when she asked how our day was, but little by little we turned those tiny moments into walls, thick ones. Every time she tried to reach out, we pulled back, colder, more distant. I still remember that night. She told me I couldn't take the car because I'd had a few drinks with friends. I lost it. I screamed in her face, "You're not my mother. You don't get to tell me what to do." She didn't argue. She just stood there, her eyes full of quiet disappointment, and somehow her silence made me even angrier. Emma wasn't much better. Clara had spent the whole afternoon stitching up Emma's favorite coat, and when she gently handed it to her, Emma tossed it into the corner like it meant nothing, like she meant nothing. And my father, he said nothing. Back then, I took that as agreement. Now I know it was helplessness, the silence of a man watching his family rot from the inside out and not knowing how to stop it. Clara never complained, never blamed anyone. She just endured. Sometimes I'd catch her sitting alone in the dark kitchen, a cold cup of tea in her hands, staring off into nothing. No one spoke to her. No one sat beside her. No one asked if she was okay. And she never asked us to. Now, when I look back, I ask myself, how much silent pain can one person carry before they finally have no choice but to let go? That night, everything shattered because of one sentence. We were arguing again. Nothing new. I don't even remember what it was about. Probably something trivial like always. But this time, I went too far. I looked her straight in the eyes and said it. Plain cold. You're not my mother. You'll never be my mother. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, just words sharp as a knife, cold as ice. And in that moment, I saw something in her break. She didn't cry, didn't speak. She just stood there, arms hanging at her sides, eyes empty like whatever hope she had left had just disappeared. Then she turned away. No goodbye. No glance back. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, she quietly packed a few things. I heard the sound of a zipper in the dark. Soft. So soft. You'd only notice it if you were still awake and quietly listening. I was awake. I heard it all. But I didn't move. Didn't say a word. Around midnight, the door creaked open. She stepped outside and vanished into the thick night. No one stopped her. No one asked where she was going. No one called out her name. We thought we were setting ourselves free, but what we didn't know was that that night we destroyed the last thread holding this family together. In the days after she left, things began to fall apart, though none of us realized it at the time. At first, I felt relief. The house was quiet in a strange new way. No more awkward dinners, no one asking questions, no one stepping into my business. But slowly, that silence started to feel suffocating. My father, the man who used to keep everything in order, began to let things go. Bills went unpaid, mail piled up on the table, dinners sat cold and untouched. No one bothered to gather anymore, Emma. Emma almost disappeared. She stopped going to school regularly. Sometimes I'd come home and find her sitting alone in a dark room, her eyes glued to her phone, empty like a ghost. And me? I thought I was stronger. I threw myself into parties, friends, noise, trying to drown out that growing emptiness I couldn't explain. I did stupid things. One night, I nearly crashed my car, driving drunk. For the first time in my life, I saw real fear in my father's eyes. Not fear for me, but fear, because he no longer knew what to do. We had pushed away the only person who knew how to hold this family together. And now we were falling fast. But we were still too proud. Too blind to admit it. Until one day I found something she had left behind. And in that moment, everything I thought I knew about her, everything I believed came crashing down. That day, I was cleaning my room, trying to bring some order to the chaos we'd been living in for so long. I wasn't looking for her. I just wanted to erase what was left of her. Like maybe that would help me breathe again. And then in the last drawer of the bookshelf, I found a notebook, worn tattered at the corners. No name on it, just a plain light brown journal. I opened it. The pages inside were filled with slanted, gentle handwriting. Hers. It wasn't a diary in the usual sense, not day-by-day entries, just quiet notes, private thoughts she'd never said out loud. I don't want to replace anyone. I just want to be loved in my own way. Every time Lucas turns me away, my heart breaks a little more, but I won't give up. I choose to stay because they need someone who doesn't walk away. Emma has eyes like the sky before it rains. I just want her to know she's enough, even if she doesn't believe it yet. I turned page after page, and it felt like something was crushing my chest. She had seen it all. She understood everything. And instead of getting angry, she chose to love more, to give more. In silence, tucked in the middle of the journal, I found hospital bills, bank loan papers, debts my father had never mentioned, all of them paid, with her money. I sat there, the journal in my lap, the words blurring through my tears. She wasn't an intruder. She wasn't a replacement. She was the one who fought for us, even when we pushed her away day after day, hour after hour, and now she was gone. I sat there for a long time, that small journal resting quietly in my hands, a living witness to everything we'd done wrong. Each line she wrote cut through the pride and stubbornness I had clung to for so long. I remembered the times she made me tea when I stayed up late studying, the simple, warm meals she prepared, even knowing we'd ignore them. The way she watched me leave the house quietly, worried but never saying a word. All of it, I used to see as annoying, fake, but I was wrong. God, I was so wrong. I went to find Emma. She was curled up on her bed, holding her old phone, eyes red. I didn't say anything, just sat beside her and handed her the journal. Emma read slowly, one page at a time, each word hit like a stone against the cold, hard walls we had spent years building around ourselves. When she closed the journal, she cried, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears sliding down her cheeks. And for the first time in forever, Emma and I sat side by side, no fighting, no blaming, only regret, heavy, unspoken everywhere. We understood now, but the question lingered. Does regret even matter when it comes this late? Is there still time to fix what we broke? That evening, I sat down across from my father. He looked at me, and for the first time his eyes seemed old, so much older than I remembered. I placed the small journal in front of him. No words, just the truth, right there on the table. He opened it, read, and then his shoulders, usually so firm, trembled. There were no arguments, no blame. All three of us knew what had to be done. We had to find her. We had to bring her back if she was even willing to return. No one knew exactly where she'd gone. No note, no goodbye. Just a few vague references in the journal. A small town a few hours away where she'd grown up, where she once dreamed of starting over. So the next morning, before the sun had a chance to warm the earth, we got in the car and began the drive to find her. No one spoke much. I think we were each lost in our own silence, wrestling with the weight of our regrets. I kept thinking of every time I'd hurt her. All because of my blind pride, Emma held the journal close to her chest like it was the last piece of her. And my father. He drove like our lives depended on every single turn of the wheel. The sky was gray. Rain started to fall, soft. At first, then harder. I watched it streak across the windshield, thinking of all the things we never said, all the hugs we never gave. I only knew one thing. If we didn't find her this time, we might never get another chance. We arrived in the town just before dusk. It was small, almost too quiet, with narrow streets wrapped in mist and little wooden shops glowing in soft golden light. We asked around. Some people shook their heads, others nodded, saying they might have seen her, but no one was sure. Finally, an elderly woman pointed across the street to a tiny cafe. There, she said. A quiet woman started working there not long ago. Kind keeps to herself. But her eyes are so sad. I almost ran. Across the rain-slicked street, my heart pounding in my chest, I stopped in front of the glass window, and I saw her. Clara, wiping down a table, her hair tied back, a plain shirt on her shoulders, the same familiar figure, but somehow her frame looked smaller. Tired. She hadn't seen us. I pushed the door open. The soft chime of the bell echoed through the quiet room. Clara looked up. For a moment, time stood still. Her eyes moved over us. Me, Emma, my father. No anger, no blame. Just surprise and a sorrow so deep I could hardly breathe. I stepped forward, stood in front of her, my voice trembling. I didn't know where to start, how to gather every ounce of guilt into something that sounded like an apology. So I just said through shaking lips, "We were wrong." Emma stepped forward next. Said nothing, just threw her arms around Clara and burst into tears. And my father, the man who once believed he was stronger than everything, stood behind us, silently, wiping his eyes. Clara didn't speak, but her hands, for the first time in so long, trembled as they wrapped around us. And outside in the falling rain, I understood some things once lost can never return the way they were. But some people, some hearts choose to forgive even after all the pain. If this story warmed your heart, leave a comment and share a memory of someone who changed your life, and don't forget to subscribe. Because sometimes a simple story is the greatest gift we can pass on.